first original Mickey Mouse?
Excellent! Say what again?
Steamboat Willie is a cartoon short that needs no introduction. Released in 1928 by Walt Disney Studio, this is the short that introduced the world to Mickey Mouse and would serve as the foundation of the Disney empire.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
But that's not really where Disney got started, is it? Steamboat Willie is by no means the first Disney production. It isn't even the first Mickey Mouse cartoon either. Before we go into the famous short itself, I think it's important to acknowledge what came before. When it comes to the world of animation, Walt Disney first entered the scene with Laugh-O-Gram Studios in 1921. Laugh-O-Grams were silent shorts that would be modern retellings of classic fairy tales. When people tell the Walt Disney story, Laugh-O-Grams are often overlooked. The most important part of this era is Disney's short, Alice's Wonderland, from 1923, serving as a pilot for Disney's series of Alice comedies. The series featured the live-action Alice character interacting with a cartoon world along with her animated companion, Julius the cat. Julius would be Disney's first recurring cartoon character, appearing in several Laugh-O-Gram shorts as well as the Alice series. The Alice comedies were also the debut of Pete, a long-standing Disney character that has made countless appearances over the years with many, many redesigns. The Alice series would be both groundbreaking and very successful, but would eventually run its course in 1927. While approximately 57 shorts were created, a good amount of them, along with several Laugh-O-Grams, have unfortunately become lost to history. A little over a week later, Disney would return to full animation and debut Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, this time under Universal Studios. I absolutely love Oswald. His story is really interesting by itself, but I'll have to save that for another time and keep this brief. His life with Disney was short-lived, only lasting from 1927 to 1928, and producing 27 shorts of his various adventures. Hey look, there's Pete again. In that short time, he became more popular than the Alice comedies ever were, and was Disney's first true cartoon star. He stood out by being among the first cartoon characters to have a distinct personality. Separating him from the rather standard Julius. Disney would lose the rights to Oswald in 1928 and leave Universal. Legend has it that Walt Disney and loyal animator Ub Iwerks, who had been with Disney the whole time but I hadn't mentioned until now, created Mickey Mouse as a replacement for Oswald on the train ride home. This is, of course, an abridged history. This isn't supposed to be a long video and we're here to talk about Steamboat Willie, so let's get into it. Like all cartoons of the era, Steamboat Willie follows a simple plot. Mickey Mouse happily pilots a steamboat, but oh no, here comes Pete. Told you he stuck around. Pete's the real captain and tells Mickey to get back to work. They stop at a dock and pick up some animals, along with Minnie Mouse, a musician. When a goat eats Minnie's sheet music, Mickey uses classic cartoon logic to turn the goat into a music box, putting on a performance using the various livestock as instruments. The animal instruments, I assume, must have been hilarious back then. I've never been one to whine about things from the past not lining up with modern ideals, but it's hard to ignore that Mickey is just beating these animals. I mean, some of them do make music, but what about this poor cat? It's not even on beat. It just seems cruel. Mickey Mouse was a menace. Various parts of this segment would end up being cut and censored over the years, but thankfully the full original version is still available and is the version shown on Disney+. This radically violent display is all good fun until Captain Pete catches Mickey having too good a time and sends him to peel potatoes. Like I said, not much to it, but that's part of the charm. Steamboat Willie is famously credited as the first cartoon with synchronized sound. This is not entirely true, as there were a few other previous cartoons with synchronized soundtracks. However, Steamboat Willie is the first one to do it well. It did so well that it made other attempts seem primitive, as they often had issues with, well, actually syncing up the sound. The work done on Steamboat Willie was a major step towards the evolution of sound film, showing the potential of what could be achieved. Speaking of the competition, Steamboat Willie was also a step up in animation. It's very fluid next to its contemporaries, with non-Disney cartoons of the era appearing more stiff by comparison. This is thanks to iWorks, the loyal animator I mentioned earlier. In an impressive feat, Steamboat Willie, along with several other early Disney shorts, were animated almost entirely by him. Remember, this had to be done by hand. I can't even begin to imagine how time-consuming this must have been. While Steamboat Willie was the first Mickey Mouse cartoon released, it's actually the third one to be created. The other two are Plain Crazy and the Gallopin' Gaucho, also from 1928. They were first created as silent films, but would be released later when it was decided that it was best to debut Steamboat Willie as a sound cartoon. As a result, Mickey's design is somewhat inconsistent between the three shorts. Ironically, for a cartoon, Steamboat Willie is not particularly funny, but that's the thing about Disney cartoons, they're never really about the comedy. There are gags that may get a chuckle out of you, and funnier characters like Goofy and Donald Duck would come along later, but if you want comedy, you go to Looney Tunes. Disney cartoons are more about entertainment through the art of animation, finding ways to take the medium to new heights. Disney has always been about innovation, from mixing different mediums and giving cartoons personality, to pioneering the implementation of sound. These innovations would continue for decades to come, branching out into feature animation and even the real world. Steamboat Willie is a groundbreaking short, more than earning its spot in film history and changing the course of the industry forever. It's safe to say that most people have seen this classic short, but on the off chance you haven't and want to check it out, I've actually uploaded the whole thing on my channel for you. How was I able to do this? Well, I know I'm pretty late to the party, but as of January 1st, 2024, the copyright for Steamboat Willie, as well as the other two 1928 shorts, has expired. This has allowed the films to enter the public domain, allowing anyone to access the material as well as do what they wish with the property. Due to Mickey's popularity, several people jumped on the bandwagon by announcing several video games, horror movies, and more in order to take advantage of this. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't part of that, as it's one of the reasons I decided to make this video. However, there is one other reason. This video is actually an introduction, a part 1. See, Steamboat Willie isn't the first or only short to become public domain, and definitely not the first to have people capitalize off of that. There are more. In fact, there are many, many more.